Yeah, we were having some conversations with other industry people, largely on Facebook at the time, and other sites where people were getting very creative, but not being all that smart about it, and using some problematic ingredients. The first two that really kicked off the need for me to, or what I felt was the need for me to build a website about it, were tobacco and then activated charcoal. And with tobacco, it's in the spirits world. We're always saying notes of tobacco, X, Y, Z, and that's a familiar word, and that things pair with it. And there are cigar malt whiskeys and cigar cognacs that are meant to pair with things and have familiar notes, but putting tobacco into a beverage is a horrible idea and extremely dangerous. And um, as people were coming out with all sorts of different and original bitters and selling them locally in particular, or making them at the bar to serve to customers without going through any kind of FDA, TTD approval process, people were making tobacco bitters, which are super dangerous, even in the drops and dashes that people use in drinks. And some commercial bitters were coming out that were tobacco bitters that were containing no tobacco, and but being labeled as tobacco bitters could put into the mind of the person using them that you can make tobacco bitters rather than tobacco flavored in big letters bitters, which would have been a more safer option to sort of let people know no actual tobacco is here. So
But
there's a couple
what
things
is
going
it
on.
about? What is it specifically about tobacco that makes it so dangerous? Because I know they used tobacco to flavor whiskey back in the day, and along with a lot of other unsafe things.
Right. Yeah. So it's the nicotine. It gives you, if you don't smoke cigarettes and then have one really fast, you're going to definitely feel impacts of it. And part of that can be heart palpitations, which get worse, the less used to it you are. Um, and in a cigarette, the amount of nicotine that's in it is you get some certain small percentage of it into your bloodstream. But putting that into alcohol, which is great at extracting the active properties of any kind of herb and herbal medicine, etc., you're getting 100% of that um, nicotine, and so the impact is going to be much, 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 much larger. And so, despite if you took one cigarette's worth of tobacco for a whole bottle of bitters, it's still problematically high quantity of that. I
It's like
had
chewing on
a
a cocoa leaf versus doing tons of lines of cocaine or something like that. Yeah, just
right.
a step change in difference. Okay, that makes sense. Sorry, I cut you off there.
But yeah, so I know people who have. I had a friend who is a very small person, probably weighs 100 pounds, and was saying like, I don't know what it is, but every time I have a tobacco old fashioned, I feel really sick afterwards. And I'm like, well, I know what it is. It's the tobacco,
Called
even though it's just in the
nicotine
form of
poisoning.
bitters.
Yes,
You know,
yes,
and
yeah.
it's an insecticide. It's really it can be really quite bad for you, or even deadly. And it's just an absolute. That one is an absolute no go in no form. I don't even really believe in smoking for this, using the smoking guns and those smoke cocktails with it. I don't know how dangerous that is, but I'm just sort of. I think we could do without it. Use wood
Why?
instead.
Yeah, why
But
tempt fate there?
yeah, and I think that so one factor is it being toxic itself if you serve it to a person or drink it yourself. A second factor is the labeling of it. If your menu says whiskey, simple syrup, tobacco, um, that might inspire someone to go home and do it. So that's a question of whose responsibility is that versus they're using safe tobacco bitters that are tobacco flavored, but the person goes home and makes tobacco bitters. I think it's worth discussing that's can be problematic, and I don't know that it's always the bar and the bartenders fault of that, but we can do better for our customers. Hospitality means not inspiring people to go home and poison themselves.